Shall we play a game?
Shit. You know what time it is. It's LSTV. I'm Lance Sisney. Thank you for coming back. Sorry it's been so long, guys, but you know how it is. So, um, there's so much has gone on. I really don't want to get into too much of the bigger stuff, really, because we'd be caught up for hours, and none who has that time these days. You and I, none of us have that time these days. But I would like to say a piece about that little intro piece you just saw. I got to thinking about that movie War Games, and that's kind of like one of the early movies that really started the whole AI thing, and that whole idea of the computer simulation being used to test military response would be where the money would be coming from to, develop that kind of system. And, let's say, maybe 30, 40 years later, they got it figured out. Well, the real investors aren't going to buy into it unless there's some sort of real world data that shows that that system is better than the human prediction. So, there's going to be some sort of trial that they're going to have to run on these AI systems, defense systems, to determine whether their predictive models are any better than the human models. And I think we maybe have experienced some of those already here. They said for a long time that some technology wasn't available to us. Well, lo and behold, after times, they had to come out and, start admitting it to us because they can't keep it a secret forever. And then, it opens the questions, what for? Why were they keeping it a secret?
In this era of great power competition, we cannot take for granted the United States' long-held advantages. The Air Force, in particular, has maintained uncontested air superiority for decades with persistent intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and precision airstrikes anytime, anywhere. However, our near-peer rivals, China and Russia, seek to erode our long-standing dominance in air power through long-range fires, anti-access aerial denial systems, and other asymmetric capabilities designed to counter our strengths. Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
Directed energy weapons. I thought that was a conspiracy. This whole time, directed energy weapons weren't supposed to be something real. That was just supposed to be some crazy thing that only crazy conspiracy theorists believed in. But, here we go. We got the Pentagon coming right out and saying it. So, I hate to be called a liar over and over. It really irks me. And then look, when we start getting into stuff, that's when my system wants to start crashing over here, but it's got to close the page. And so, then we got that revelation there of the weapons that were always supposed to be a conspiracy, but maybe we can have a talk about the real purpose of some of these wars. Let's hear somebody talk about maybe what the reason is behind some of these conflicts that we all seem to hear about, but not really understand the background to the story. This is Colonel Douglas McGregor on the situation overseas right now.
We have this unfortunate habit of seeing ourselves as always wearing the white hat, always doing everything right, and we miss the truth. And the truth is, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines do what they're told. They'll go wherever you ask them to go. They'll put their lives on the line. But it doesn't always make sense. And sometimes it may be for profit, not for national interest, not for the interests of the American people. And that's the problem. And no one's been watching this thing. They see the flag, everybody salutes, everybody listens to the music, everyone's enthralled.
And there you have it, folks. When the top brass starts talking about it, you really should pay attention. I think these guys know more than most of the rest of us. And so they know what it's all about. They know it's all about that mighty, mighty dollar. They're out there looking for that big cash in. Everybody wants that big payday and retire. Go to the Bahamas. Have some Mai Tais, whatever. But question is, where is it going to be next? And you ask me, I would say this is it's a good bet right here. If you can give me a second to pull it up. Uh, I believe there's a lot of talk about the connection between Russia and Africa and China and Africa. And Africa is, kind of like in the background because they're not really necessarily militarily supporting all the other countries in the wars that we hear about. But $13 trillion of gold sitting over there waiting. Somebody's thinking about how to get it right now. Not just one way either. I'm absolutely positive that there's quite a bit of interest in that $13 trillion worth of gold they found in Africa. And which brings us to another type of gold that we don't always like to talk about in those exact terms, but we have a certain type of product that is our labor. We need workforce. We need people to move that stuff, mine that stuff, get that stuff out of the ground. And they like to talk about this migrant crisis. Like, we want to import people for the betterment of our diversity of our culture, but then in the same cheek, they say because we need gardeners and landscapers and stuff like that. So they really don't have a lot of respect for the people they say they want to help out and help out with the immigration process. But a good example of that hypocrisy that I'm talking about here is this mayor of New York right now, complaining about the cost of housing the migrants. And I started thinking, well, like, hey, I thought migrants were the backbone of our society. I thought they did nothing but support our economic growth and break the country stronger. Why would they incur $12 billion of economic aid if migrants were the backbone of our society and the strength of our economic support? I think that the people in the government may be using the migrants crisis to enrich themselves, and I think we really need to look into that. We shouldn't let them use the people who are coming here to work and to make our society stronger and to work to strengthen the backbone of our economy, to use their suffering and their plight to make themselves richer. With this mayor talking about how he needs more money to help those people who have already brought their wealth and their economy to our good society, and I thank them for it. But in other countries, it's not so easy. In other countries, they don't necessarily just want to, let these people who want to move there become citizens. In other countries, it's a lot harder to get involved in the system. In other countries, and say, I don't want to call them out by name, but this one particular place, they got this new. It's never been done before like this. It's they've never had this type of competition, sports competition in the country that's brought up this one that's called the One Championship. I'm gonna bring it up right now. I shouldn't just sit there and not have a visual for you to see. That is my bad, and I will correct that. It is the One Championship. It is the biggest martial arts MMA championship so far in the world because of just sheer number of contestants inside, or at least it is rivaling the biggest sports competition championships in the world right now. I believe he's, I think at number 4 in ratings or something like that. And I mean, it's huge, and you're not hearing very much about it right now. Because I mean, of course, it's competing to the markets that are in our hemisphere, but I mean, you want to talk about using people to generate interest in political movements or in to associate themselves with nationalities. Nothing works better than physical combat, pure raw physical combat, and there it is. It's gonna be the biggest thing in the world probably, and you know it may have been hard to break up all those other you know team sports events. They might have needed something like a huge horrible distraction event to keep everybody out of tune for a while, like like maybe major starting off with major massive protests and some political infusion into the sports arena because that's just what sports fan wants to watch politics while they're watching their game. And then one championship, the ultimate fighting championship. Contra, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, all of them combined into one. Let's see. Are you ready? Are you? Let's get it on.